My name is Evelyn Carter. I'm 29 years old. And until one Tuesday night in late July, I thought I understood exactly where my life was going. 5 years with Michael Reynolds. 3 of those years living together in a decent apartment in Brooklyn, the kind with thin walls, uneven floors, and just enough light in the mornings to make you believe you were building something permanent. I worked as a product analyst for a mid-sized tech company. Long hours, structured chaos. Michael was a marketing strategist, creative, charming, the kind of man who knew how to say the right thing at the right time. At least I used to think so. We weren't perfect, but we were solid, or so I thought. It happened on a Tuesday evening, the kind that should have been remembered for good reasons. That afternoon, I'd gotten a promotion. Nothing flashy, but meaningful. A step forward. I left work early, stopped by the wine shop Michael liked, the one where the clerk always asked too many questions, and picked up his favorite bottle. I even splurged on that ridiculous cheese he insisted tasted better if it cost more. I came home smiling, grocery bag swinging slightly from my wrist. Michael was on the couch, phone in hand. He didn't look up. "We need to talk," he said. 4 words. 4 words that always sound reasonable until they aren't. I set the bag on the counter slowly, sat across from him. "Okay," I said. "What's going on?" He placed his phone face down on the coffee table. That small, deliberate gesture made my stomach tighten. "I've been thinking a lot lately," he began. "About us, about where we're going." The way he said it, carefully, like he'd practiced, made something inside me brace. "I just need some time for myself," he continued. "I'm not ready for this relationship right now." I remember nodding once, not because I understood, because my body needed something to do. 5 years, shared rent, shared furniture, shared routines, shared plans we never said out loud because saying them felt unnecessary. "Are you breaking up with me?" I asked. He rubbed his hands together, a nervous habit. "I don't know. I just need space. Time to figure out what I want." I looked at him, really looked. "Michael," I said quietly, "we've been together for 5 years. You don't know what you want?" "It's not that simple," he said quickly. "I feel like I've lost myself. I don't even know who I am outside of us anymore." I inhaled slowly. "So what does this mean?" I asked. "Do you want me to move out? Or—" "I think I should stay with my sister for a while," he interrupted. "Just a few weeks, maybe a month. I just need to clear my head." Here's what I didn't do. I didn't beg. I didn't cry. I didn't ask him to reconsider. Instead, I stood up, walked into the kitchen, put the wine in the fridge, and said, "All right, if that's what you want." He looked startled. "That's it?" he asked. "You're not going to fight for us?" "You just told me you need space," I replied calmly. "What do you want me to do? Tell you you're wrong about your own feelings?" He hesitated. "I just thought I don't know." "When are you leaving?" I asked. "Tomorrow," he said. "I already talked to my sister." "Okay. Do you need help packing?" "No, I've got it." I nodded and went to the bedroom. That night, we slept in the same bed. But we might as well have been on different continents. Wednesday morning arrived, like a continuation of a conversation I never agreed to have. Michael packed 2 suitcases with the kind of efficiency that only comes from rehearsing in your head. He didn't wander the apartment in confusion. He didn't stare at our frame photos or hesitate at the closet like a man unsure. He moved like someone following a plan. I made coffee out of muscle memory. The machine gurgled, the scent filled the kitchen, and for a few seconds everything felt painfully normal, until I remembered the suitcases lined up by the door like punctuation. "Do you want a cup?" I asked. He paused, then nodded. We stood there in silence while the coffee dripped, the sound steady and indifferent. He took his mug and held it with both hands like it could warm something that had already gone cold. When he was ready to leave, he hovered by the door. "Evelyn," he said softly, like he wanted credit for gentleness. "I'm sorry." "Don't be," I replied. My voice surprised even me. Flat, calm, controlled. "You need to do what's right for you." "I'll text you," he said quickly. "We can talk once I've had time." "Sure." He opened the door, stepped out, and then hesitated one last time, as if he expected me to stop him. I didn't. The door closed. His footsteps faded down the hall. I heard the elevator ding in the distance. Then the apartment went quiet in a way that felt incorrect, like the room itself had noticed the absence and didn't know what to do with it. I stood there for a long time with my coffee cooling in my hands, and then I made a decision. I wasn't going to wait around. That afternoon, I called Ryan Marshall. Ryan was one of my closest friends, someone I trusted because he'd never tried to turn my vulnerability into an opportunity. We'd met years ago at a mutual friend's game night, bonded over sarcasm and shared exhaustion, and stayed friends because he was consistently, stubbornly solid. He answered on the second ring. Ev, you okay? I need to ask you something, I said. Uh-oh. You still looking for a roommate? There was a beat of silence. Yeah, why? Michael and I are done. Ryan exhaled slowly. Okay, when do you want to move in? This weekend. Works for me. He didn't ask questions. Not the kind that would force me to explain something I hadn't fully processed. He just offered a lifeline and let me choose how to grab it. After we hung up, I walked through my apartment, our apartment, like I was seeing it for the first time. The couch we'd bought together because he said the old one made us look like we were still in our 20s. The kitchen table where we'd eaten takeout so often the wood had faint circles from sauce containers. The TV stand we assembled on a Saturday afternoon while arguing about which screws went where. The place wasn't just a home, it was evidence. And I realized something quietly devastating. If Michael could leave this behind with 2 suitcases and a speech about finding himself, then the story I thought we had was not the story he'd been living. I spent the rest of the week packing. Not dramatically, not angrily, methodically. This is mine, this is his, this is ours. I left hours in the living room like a silent exhibit. Couch, kitchen table, decorations we'd picked out together. The ugly lamp he insisted was mid-century modern, and I tolerated because I loved him. I took what was mine. My desk, my computer setup, my clothes, my books, the framed photo of my mom and me at my college graduation. Simple, clean, controlled. At night, when the apartment was too still, I did the thing I'd been avoiding. I opened my laptop and started going through old photos. 5 years of memories, neatly organized into folders, like I'd believed organization could protect me from chaos. Our first vacation to Maine, wind in my hair, Michael smiling like the world was easy. The cross-country drive where we got lost twice and laughed until my stomach hurt. Holiday mornings in pajamas, holding mugs of coffee like it was a tradition that meant something permanent. I backed everything up to an external drive and then deleted them from my main computer. Not out of anger, out of necessity. I needed my life to move forward without dragging the past behind it like an anchor. But there was one photo that stopped me. A wedding from 2 years ago, Michael's co-worker's wedding. I wore a navy dress. He wore a suit. We looked happy, like the kind of couple strangers assumed had a future. I remembered him leaning down during the reception, his lips near my ear, whispering, "That'll be us someday." I'd believed him. I stared at that photo for a long time. Then I saved it separately. I don't know why. Maybe because part of me still wanted proof that I hadn't imagined everything. Or maybe because I needed one last reminder of what I used to accept as love. Friday, I signed the lease at Ryan's place. A smaller 2-bedroom apartment on the other side of Brooklyn. Cheaper, simpler, less us. Saturday morning, I moved out. I did it quickly, before my emotions could catch up. Ryan helped me carry boxes without saying much. He let silence be what it was, space I could breathe in. When the last box was in his living room, I went back one final time. The apartment felt hollow without my things, like it had already started forgetting me. I placed my key on the counter beside a folded note. "Michael, I've moved out. Figured it would be easier for you to have the space you need. Rent is paid through the end of the month. After that, the lease is in your name. Take care. Evelyn." I didn't tell him I was moving out. I didn't ask permission. I just did it. Because something about being asked to wait, asked to shrink my life so he could figure out his, made me realize a hard truth. If someone needs space from you, the kindest thing you can do is give them all of it. By Sunday, I was fully settled into Ryan's place. The room was smaller than what I'd had with Michael, but it was mine in a way my old apartment suddenly didn't feel. Ryan worked in finance, kept odd hours. We didn't get in each other's way. He gave me privacy without making it feel like abandonment. That first night, I woke up at 3 a.m., hand reaching instinctively across the bed. Nothing. Just empty space and cool sheets. The silence was different too. No familiar breathing. No subtle rustle when someone shifts in sleep. It hurt, but the pain wasn't sharp. It was dull, like a bruise you only notice when you touch it. And the terrifying part was I adjusted faster than I thought I would. 2 weeks went by. Radio silence from Michael. I didn't reach out either. I went to work. I hit the gym more. I started cooking actual meals instead of surviving on delivery. Ryan had people over for poker night. I joined once, laughed more than I expected. I went on a hike upstate with coworkers and let the sun on my face feel like proof I was still alive. Life continued. I unfollowed Michael on social media, not to punish him, but because I didn't need to see curated quotes about healing and growth. I muted his sister too, and a few mutual friends I knew would post pictures with him. Self-preservation isn't petty. It's survival. My mom called during this time. She loved Michael. Had been asking for months when we were going to make it official. "How's Michael doing?" she asked during our weekly call. I stared at the wall of my new room, throat tightening. "We're not together anymore, Mom." Silence. Then, "What happened?" "He needed space," I said, "so I gave it to him." "Oh, honey." Her voice softened immediately. "Are you okay?" "I'm better than I expected," I admitted. "You can always come home," she said quickly. "You don't have to be alone in this." "I know," I said, "but I'm fine here." She didn't push, but I could hear the worry in her voice when we said goodbye. After I hung up, I sat on my bed and stared at my hands. 2 weeks ago, I'd been someone's girlfriend in a shared apartment. Now I was a woman in a new room, learning how to breathe again. Then, on a Thursday evening, my phone buzzed. A name I hadn't seen in 2 weeks lit up my screen. "Michael, hey, can we talk?" I stared at the message for a full minute. Not because I didn't know what to say, because I did. I just wanted to make sure I said it without emotion doing the driving. I set my phone down, finished the episode I was watching, made myself tea. Then I picked it up again and typed, "Sure, what's up?" 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "Can I call you?" I exhaled slowly. I'd prefer text for now. And that's when the words came through that made my stomach drop, not because I missed him, but because I knew exactly what this meant. "I went by the apartment yesterday. You moved out?" I stared at the screen, then typed, "Yeah, 3 dots. You didn't tell me." I felt something cold settle in my chest. I typed, slow and deliberate. "You asked for space. I gave you space." Then his next message arrived. And it sounded like someone who'd just realized the consequences of their own choices. "I didn't mean for you to move out completely." I read it twice, then once more, because the audacity of it was almost impressive. My thumbs hovered over the keyboard, and for the first time since he left, I felt anger, not hot and loud, but sharp and quiet. The kind that doesn't beg. The kind that decides. "What did you mean then?" The 3 dots appeared again. Disappeared. Appeared. Like he was rehearsing honesty and failing at it. "I don't know," Michael finally typed. "I just needed time to think." I stared at the words, feeling something in me go very still. "And have you thought about things?" I asked. A pause. Then, "Yes, I miss you." 3 words. 3 weeks too late. I set my phone down and leaned back against the couch cushion, staring at the ceiling of Ryan's living room. It was cracked in one corner, the paint uneven. I'd noticed it the first night I moved in and thought, I should tell him. I never did. It didn't matter. What mattered was that 2 weeks of silence, 2 weeks where I rebuilt my routine, my sleep, my breath, had apparently been enough time for Michael to decide he missed the comfort of me being there. I picked up my phone again. "I'm glad you've had time to think," I typed. "I hope you figure out what you want." Almost immediately. "Don't be like this, Evelyn." I felt a small, humorless smile tug at my mouth. "Like what?" "Cold. Distant. You know what I mean." I sat up straighter. "You wanted space, Michael. I gave you space. I'm not sitting around waiting for you to decide whether I'm worth your time." The response took longer this time. "That's not fair." I exhaled slowly. "What's not fair is asking someone to put their life on hold while you figure yourself out. I'm not doing that." 3 dots. Gone. Then, "Can we at least meet and talk about this? Face to face?" I considered it. Not because I missed him, but because I wanted to be sure that the clarity I felt wasn't temporary courage. "Maybe eventually," I replied, "but not right now. I'm good where I am." That one was true. He didn't respond. Ryan came home about an hour later, tossed his keys onto the counter, and glanced at me on the couch with a beer I hadn't finished. "You look like someone who just dodged a bullet," he said. "Michael texted," I replied. His eyebrows lifted slightly. "And?" "He says he misses me." Ryan grabbed a beer from the fridge, sat down across from me. "And what did you say?" "That I'm not waiting around." He clinked his bottle lightly against mine. "Good." That word "good" settled something in my chest. 3 days later, on Sunday afternoon, my phone rang. "Michael." I let it go to voicemail. An hour later, it rang again. Voicemail. Then a text. "Please pick up. I really need to talk to you." I didn't respond. Monday morning, he called while I was at work. I declined the call and listened to the voicemail during lunch. "Evelyn, please call me back," his voice said, strained and uneven. "I know I messed up. I didn't mean to break up. I just needed time, and now I realize I was wrong. I miss you so much. I miss us. Please, can we just talk?" His voice cracked at the end. I saved the voicemail, and still didn't call back. That evening, another text arrived. I'm coming by Ryan's place tomorrow after work. We need to talk face to face. My stomach dropped, not out of fear, but irritation. How do you know where I live? I typed. Ryan's Instagram. You were tagged in a photo. I closed my eyes briefly. Don't come here, Michael. 3 dots. I'm coming. You can either let me in or we can talk in the hallway. But we're talking. I showed Ryan the messages. You want me to be here? He asked immediately. No, I said after a moment. I'll handle it. Because this wasn't about safety. It was about closure. Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. A knock at the door. I opened it. Michael stood there looking smaller. Not physically, emotionally. His hair was pulled back instead of styled. No confident smile. No charming energy. Just jeans, a hoodie, and eyes rimmed red like he hadn't slept well. Hey, he said quietly. Hi, can I come in? I stepped aside. He walked in and looked around the apartment like he was cataloging the ways my life had continued without him. Nice place, he said. It works. We sat in the living room. Awkward silence filled the space between us. He fidgeted with his hands, something I'd always noticed when he was nervous. On his wrist was the watch I'd given him for his birthday last year, the one he said made him feel put together. Details like that shouldn't have mattered. But they did. I made a mistake, he said finally. I didn't respond. I thought I needed space, he continued, words tumbling faster now. But what I really needed was to understand why I felt stuck. And it wasn't you. It was me. I panicked. Panicked about what? I asked calmly. Commitment. The future. Turning 30 without feeling like I'd accomplished anything. I freaked out. I nodded slowly. I know I hurt you, he said quickly. I know I can't take back what I said. But I want to try again. I want us to try again. I leaned back in my chair. Michael, I said, keeping my voice even. When you said you needed space, I respected that. I didn't fight because if you weren't sure about us after 5 years, fighting wasn't going to change that. I was confused, he said. I'm not confused anymore. That's good, I replied. I'm glad you figured it out. His face relaxed slightly until I continued. But I'm not confused either. He frowned. What do you mean? I mean, I spent 2 weeks realizing I don't want to be with someone who isn't sure about me. That's not fair. You asked for time, I cut in. I gave you time, and in that time, I realized I deserved better than being someone's backup plan. I never treated you like a backup plan, he said quickly. Then be honest, I said. Did you meet someone else? The room went very quiet. Michael looked away. That was all the answer I needed. Who is she? I asked. It doesn't matter, he said. Nothing happened. Michael, I said, my voice calm but firm. Whether you kissed her or not doesn't change the fact that you left me to explore something with another woman. He swallowed. A woman from work, he admitted. We got drinks a few times. I thought I might have feelings for her. Turns out I didn't. It made me realize what I had with you. I didn't feel the anger I expected. I just felt tired. What's her name? I asked. Why does it matter? Because I want to know who you were willing to throw us away for. He hesitated. Her name is Lena. I nodded once. You didn't throw us away, he said quickly. Nothing physical happened. You left me to see if you could do better, I replied, standing up. You found out you couldn't. Now you want to come back. That's not what this was. It was exactly what this was, I said. And the worst part? You didn't even have the courage to tell me the truth. You dressed it up as needing space when really you wanted options. Evelyn, please. I think you should go. He stood too, eyes glossy. Don't do this, he said. Please don't throw away 5 years because I messed up. I'm not throwing away 5 years, I replied quietly. You did that. I'm just refusing to pretend it didn't happen. He cried then. Real tears. I love you, he said. I made a mistake. I know, I said. And that's why I'm saying no. He stood there another moment, then nodded stiffly. If you change your mind. I won't. He left. I closed the door, stood there for a moment, then went back to the couch. Ryan came home 20 minutes later. How'd it go? He asked. He wanted to get back together. And? I said no. He studied my face. How do you feel? I didn't have to think. Relieved. The week after Michael left my apartment felt strangely quiet. Not the hollow kind of quiet I'd felt after he first moved out, but something steadier. Like the sound that follows a door finally closing. He called twice. I didn't answer. He texted once more, long paragraphs this time, full of apologies and rewrites of history. I didn't respond. Then his sister reached out. Hey, Evelyn, Michael's really struggling. I know he messed up, but he's trying to fix it. Can you at least talk to him? I stared at the message longer than I should have. Then typed, I appreciate you looking out for him, but this isn't your fight. Michael and I are done. She replied almost immediately. It's only been a month. People make mistakes. I exhaled slowly. In that month, I've been happier than I was in the last 6 months of our relationship. That should tell you something. She didn't answer after that, and somehow that silence felt like confirmation. A few days later, a message came from someone unexpected. Sophie, Michael's best friend. We'd always gotten along. She'd been at that wedding years ago. The one where Michael whispered that'll be us someday like it was a promise. I just wanted to say I'm sorry about everything, she wrote. Michael told me what happened. For what it's worth, I think you're doing the right thing. You deserve someone who's sure about you. I stared at the screen, surprised by how much that validation mattered. Thank you, I replied. That means more than you know. If you ever need to talk, I'm here, as your friend, not his. I closed my phone and leaned back against my bed. For the first time since the breakup, I felt something solid beneath my feet. 2 months passed. The lease on the old apartment ended. Michael moved in with his sister. I heard, through mutual friends, that the woman from work, Lena, turned out to have a boyfriend she hadn't mentioned. Apparently, that revelation happened publicly. Apparently, it was ugly. Apparently, Michael was now looking for a new job. I felt a flicker of sympathy when I heard. Just a flicker. Mostly, I felt nothing. As for me, I was good. Better than good. Work picked up in a way that felt exciting instead of overwhelming. My promotion came with more responsibility and more respect. I started a side project with 2 colleagues, something creative that made me feel capable again. I started therapy, not because I was falling apart, but because I didn't want to repeat the pattern. My therapist helped me see things I'd minimized for years. How Michael would go cold when he felt insecure, how he needed constant reassurance but rarely gave it back, how I'd learned to make myself smaller so he could feel bigger. Red flags I'd explained away because I loved him. The gym became my anchor. 6 a.m. mornings, steady routines, measured progress. I lost weight, gained strength, felt present in my own body again. Not to prove anything to Michael, to prove something to myself. 3 weeks ago, I started seeing someone new. His name is Daniel. He's a teacher, calm, direct, the kind of man who says what he means and doesn't disappear when things get real. We met through one of Ryan's friends. No sparks, no chaos, just easy conversation and mutual interest. Revolutionary concept. It's casual, honest, drama-free. And that's exactly what I need right now. Last week, Daniel and I were sitting in a coffee shop in Park Slope when I felt it, that unmistakable sensation of being watched. I looked up. Michael stood near the counter. He saw me. Then he saw Daniel sitting across from me. Michael froze. For a moment, I thought he might walk over. Instead, he turned around and left. Through the window, I watched him pull out his phone, probably texting his sister, or Sophie, or someone who would tell him what this meant. Daniel followed my gaze. Ex? He asked gently. Yeah. He looks sad? Probably, I said, but that's not my responsibility anymore. Daniel smiled. I like that about you, he said. You don't play games. I smiled back. Learned that the hard way. That night, Sophie texted me. Michael saw you today. With someone else. He's pretty devastated. I stared at the message, then typed. I'm sorry he's hurting, but I've moved on. I know, she replied. I just think he finally understands what he lost. I set my phone down. Sometimes people only appreciate things once they're gone. That doesn't mean they get them back. I saw Michael's social media post later that week. Something about self-love, healing, how the universe removes people from your life to protect you. The comments were full of encouragement, telling him he deserved better, that he was brave. The irony wasn't lost on me. I scrolled past. My mom asked about him again last Sunday. Have you talked to Michael at all? She asked carefully. No, Mom, and I won't. I just thought maybe with time, he left me to chase another woman, I said gently. There's no amount of time that makes that okay. She paused. Then, you sound strong. I feel strong. I'd love to meet Daniel when you're ready. Soon, I said, I promise. My dad got on the phone after. He wasn't a man of many words, but he cleared his throat and said, I'm proud of you. Takes guts to walk away when someone isn't treating you right. That meant everything. Here's what I learned. When someone asks for space, give it to them. All of it. Don't wait. Don't bargain. Don't put your life on hold for someone who isn't sure about you. If they come back and you want to try again, that's your choice. But you don't owe anyone a second chance just because they decided too late that they made a mistake. Michael taught me that. And oddly enough, I'm grateful. Because if he hadn't asked for space, I might have stayed. Might have married him. Built a life with someone who was always half looking for something else. Now I'm with someone who chooses me without hesitation. I'm 29 years old. I have a good job, good friends, a clear mind. And for the first time in a long time, I don't feel like I'm waiting to be chosen. I already chose myself.